Trayon was selected after many hours of internet searching, magazine searching, talking to friends, looking at trade shows. The Trayon was not the first choice. There was another manufacturer that I went to a specific trade show to look at, and once I saw the Trayon in comparison with the competitor, there was no comparison. It was after talking to Vernon from Trayon, after running through the rig for I'd say at least an hour and a half of gnawing his ear off, there was no comparison. I couldn't even look at the other model. We needed a rig that was going to withstand the rigours that we were about to put it through. The trip that it was first designed for was one which was crossing the centre of Australia through 3 deserts on the Amberdell Highway and then going on the Canning Stock route. Choosing the Trayon was for structural strength and weight. Weight was critical. We knew we were going to be overloaded with the amount of supplies we had to have. We needed the lightest in category. We needed something that was very, very easily put up and down. We were stopping on nearly a daily basis at that stage. So that was the main reason. Then on top of that, I think possibly the second most important reason was to make sure the wife was happy. It was critical to have the wife happy. Her days of severe camping were limited. There wasn't that much. Marie wanted a shower. Marie wanted the comforts. She knew that when we were going to be going, it was going to be going for elongated periods of time. It's not a weekend or a week. We've been now travelling at this moment for about 4 months. And I'd say at this stage now, Maria, I don't think you're sick of it as yet, are you?
No, I'm not. No. Once I've had the shower every evening after a dusty red dust, everything you can imagine, a shower makes you feel $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that we live indoor and outdoor, if the weather's not good, we can go inside the camper.
Especially with the mozzies and the sandflies. The
vehicle we chose was the Mazda BT50 in freestyle format, auto and base model with vinyl floor. Mazda was the only ute manufacturer who was producing this configuration with this format. Everyone else, we had to go more upper model. Toyota didn't even supply an automatic in this format. So there wasn't much else of a choice. We looked at the Nissan, we looked at the Amarok. For where we were going and what we were doing, this was the best vehicle. The accessories and things that we did to the vehicle were very much designed for the first trip that it was going on. Long range fuel tank, upgraded suspension system, snorkel, winch, bull bar, long range fuel tank, the water tank as well for accessories, and to be able to carry the additional tyre, to have 2 spares rather than 1. first looked at the Trayon, my first thoughts were for the base model. That would not have met my wife's requirements. However, we decided that we'll go for the shower unit on the back, and we'll go for the diesel deluxe heater to be able to have the hot water. At that time, we also just went for the standard battery setup, which was the deep cycle. That was probably the biggest mistake we made, was just staying with the deep cycle and not going lithium. Since travelling for 2.5 months, we decided to go back to Vernon and the boys from Trayon and upgrade it to lithium. We've now been away for a 2-week period trying out the lithium. It is cheese and chalk. It is the concerns about power usage, the concerns about having to generate power, how not to use items, they've all dissipated. We just, it's such a luxury to have the lithium ion. I recommend it to anyone. This trip that we've just completed, which was our inaugural with this camper, it started off really from Coobapedy going on the Anbadell. The road was terrible. The corrugations were severe. The dust was everywhere. The chasing camels, the ruts, it was really bad. It was freezing cold at night. Ice on the fly. It was really bad, but it was so comfortable in the Trayon. If it got that cold, the heater went on. The other 3 vehicles that went with us were just jealous. It was just, it was so comfortable. We didn't have a hot shower every night because of water conservation, but when we did, it was just pure luxury. So I went on the Anbadell with a friend of mine, and then we went on to the Canning. Conditions were the same, grueling. The car just suffered. The Trayon, nothing. It was built like the brick proverbial, and it just kept going and going. It did what it had to do. The poor car, it really suffered. The turbo exhaust hose came apart, and the side steps rattled loose, and everything went to pieces with the corrugations, but not a nut went loose with the Trayon. When we hit Broome, a friend of mine left that part of the expedition and the wife came. Now, one of the conditions that the wife said she would continue with me and going to go and do the Cape Leveque and the Gibb River Road was that she just didn't want to experience any more dust. We've already done the trip once before, and she threatened to leave me.
No. But honestly, there was no dust in the camper trailer at all. I was really amazed. We're on the Gibb River Road, and there's just dust everywhere, and I thought, oh, I'm going to open up the camper. The camper, yeah. And I thought it was going to be full of dust, and honestly, there was nothing. I was shocked, and I thought, wow. I mean, we had dust in the car and all that, but nothing in the camper.
Especially having the salesman say it's going to be dust-free.
Because everybody tells you that, but honestly, there was no dust at all.
Well, we can't talk about the Mazda. Inside the cabin of the Mazda.
To get rid of it.
Well, we're still trying to get it out of the Mazda. I mean, I'm shocked. Yeah. I'm shocked, but it's definitely the design that they were talking about, how the entry door is to the side, and there is no egress or entry into the camper from the rear.
That's true.
Going in the camper and taking the wife along after being on other trips in different configurations. So we've already had the towed camper trailer. We've already had the Volkswagen transporter, which we set up inside. We've had the Land Cruiser slept in the back. The Forester, we've had tents, and I won't say that we're senior, but at our age now, we do want more
A
comfort.
little bit more comfortable. Yeah.
We do. We want the comfort. We want ease of setup, ease of use, and we want some more of our creature comforts compared to what we did.
Yeah, years ago.
We do.
You change.
The kitchen setup in this, how
It's
easy.
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
No pumping hot water.
No, you just turn the tap.
No jerry cans.
No jerry cans. It's true. No.
No
Been there,
tanks.
Done that.
Yeah, enough, wasn't it? The bed.
Oh, easy. Easy peasy.
And how fast to set up. Just
A matter of minutes, really.
so what it's done, even for you, is the fact that your length of camping time that you'll do has increased.
It definitely has. It really has.
If you turned around now and I said to you, oh, we're going to do another 3-month trip, you don't blink an eye anymore.
You don't. It's easy.
It is, isn't it?
Really easy.
We spoke about weight, and we were saying that we needed to get the lightest weight in category as well. And weight's critical on a trip like this. The positioning of weight, the fact that with this unit here, all the weight is at the front end over the tyre rather than out the back. That's the lightest area of the unit, which is, it's very important for the suspension to not have the back of it moving down to keep our weight distribution, because in this particular case we even loaded in front of the cabin with the tyre, and on the other side there's another 3 jerry cans with another 60 litres of fuel. There weren't service stations where we were going, so that was another important factor with the Trayon. But okay, lightweight, but lightweight sometimes can lead to compromise in constructional quality and strength and integrity. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how solid it is, how we just haven't had movement. We haven't had hinges going. We haven't had pop rivets falling out or screws or anything undoing. The poor car, the side step vibrated off. We had to literally go through the whole car and put nylock nuts on everything there because everything was rattling off as we were going. Whereas with the Trayon, we just haven't had to do the maintenance. It's just held together. Possibly due to the fact that it's not a rigid frame and it has flexibility. That's probably a good thing, because the more rigid you make something, the more likely it is to crack and the more likely it is to fracture or have stress points. Nothing. You look at the unit now after it's done approximately 4,500 to 5,000 kilometres of corrugations and misery. It's like the day we picked it up. It's brand new. Slight polish, you would never know that it's been anywhere. The car, well, that's another
story.
That's a different story. She's looking a little. It doesn't look like 25,000 k's on the clock. That's for sure. Yeah, looking a lot more than that. So are we. Another reason for picking Trayon, of course, is with anything. You need 3 factors when you're choosing. You need longevity of a product, and the fact this unit's probably been in the same format for the last, I don't even know how many years. I think they're saying something like 10, 20 years. That's good, because that enables for consistency of spare parts. If anything goes wrong, it means that they can fix things. It means that they know issues with the product. They've probably addressed them as well. It's not a brand new model off the assembly line from Taiwan. Another thing is backup service. Anything we've ever spoken to the manufacturers about has been addressed like immediately. You talk to them and they remember your name, they remember your model number, they remember where you come from, they remember your history. It does feel a bit like a private club, but it's really good. The people are just warm and inviting. And then that all replicates and all goes to show why Trayons hold their value so well. Try and pick up a Trayon second hand. Try and pick up this unit second hand. You never see them. No one sells them. And if they do sell them, they want a fortune for them. They hold their value. And if the second hand ones do go on the market, in milliseconds they're gone. We looked at buying a used one, pre-buying a new one, and it just wasn't worth it. They hold their value so well. We just went straight into the new one. It wasn't even a rocket science to figure that one out, was it?
No.
No, not at all. Another byproduct of the Trayon, and another reason why we purchased it, would be the fact that we hate towing. We have a boat, we tow the boat, but it's limited areas. We towed around Australia with the camper trailer. I hate towing. I don't like it. It's not the registration. Okay, it doesn't have a registration, but it wasn't the registration that stopped us. I hate towing. The Trayon is brilliant. We can go somewhere, set it up, lift it off, and go out and do what we want to do. We're not. It's like having a trailer without having a trailer. It just works really, really well. And saying that too, when we get back home, we're very protective and very conscious of our equipment. The Trayon has to be stored properly. So we have a garage and we like to store it, but we're limited on room. We don't have oodles of room under cover it, but the Trayon sits in the back corner of the garage and we can still put a car in front of it. Now if we had a camper trailer, if we had a bigger unit or something, we can't do that. We can't store as easily as this. And the fact is we're very fortunate to have two vehicles. We've also got a Ford Ranger which we've set up, but it's a little bit too pretty to go on the expeditional trails as the poor Mazda is. We punish that. But the Ford is also set up for our softer treks. It's more comfortable inside. It's got the carpet. It's got all the electronics and everything. So we swap between the two vehicles. It's just instantaneous. You back one in, back one out, put it on, go where you have to go. It just works really, really well. In fact, I think even yourself, the ease of use, and you'd even turn around and say, this is probably the best setup we've ever had. Would you say that?
100%. Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, it is. For a female's point of view, it's fantastic.
Well, funny you say that. You know, if I had a choice between the Trayon and you, I kind of,
oh yeah,
you know,
okay, that's enough now.
I'm nearly tempted.